Free advice, would you like some free advice? Free advice forever.
Welcome back to episode 21.
Is that really the episode we're on?
We're on episode 21.
Okay, well then welcome to episode 21. That right there is Rob Zaleski.
And that right there, that there's Morgan Baird.
Howdy.
How you doing?
Doing pretty good, and yourself?
Just been hunting ducks.
Oh, how the ducks today?
Juicy.
Oh, shit.
About to make me some foie gras. About to get my whole family a big old tin of foie gras.
You gonna drink some agua to wash that fogua down?
Not in this household. Ain't no Spanish. We only speak French around here.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna have then? What French beverage?
Cultured. Probably La Croix.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a fancy duck hunting drink you got there.
Oh, yeah. I like the way the bubbles tickle my tongue. Reminds me of the bubbles that tickle my toes in the jacuzzi.
I am having a tough time pinning down your lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, I make a special type of jacuzzi in the bed of my truck by putting down a tarp. I put down a blue tarp. You ever seen a tarp this blue?
Yeah, I seen it on Pinterest. I tried to make a back bed truck jacuzzi
A back bed truck
myself.
jacuzzi on
Yeah.
Pinterest. That was probably my Pinterest you were on. I'm a man of high culture and also much prejudice.
Your accent is shifting. Now you're like a rich Georgian man, maybe
Yeah.
somewhere
All
in
the
Georgia,
above.
Instead of like Alabama,
You
where I was
know,
putting you before.
the distinctions that we draw between ourselves and other people,
What are they?
temporary illusions.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Everybody write
So-
that down.
Yeah, we're at Burning Man right now. And learning such valuable lessons as this.
Yes, anticipating the lessons we will learn while we're at Burning Man
Yeah.
as you listen to this.
Right.
We are going to be dissolving our egos. What else?
Truck
Maybe
bed jacuzzi.
Yeah,
Truck
maybe
bed jacuzzi.
Maybe a
getting our toes
Kundalini workshop.
Some Kundalini,
Moving our energies around.
life force, holistic, holotropic breathing, probably.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to explore Rolfing, which is not known whether it's safe or not, but
Okay.
I'm going to explore.
Safety third.
I'm going to explore Rolfing.
Excellent. I can't wait. That
Do
sounds
you
like a
remember
great
the
journey.
Muppet Rolf? I think his name was Rolf, not Ralph. He was the dog that played a piano. He's probably a B-side Muppet. He's kind of one of the deeper cuts of the Muppets.
Is that the Muppet character you most feel like you are?
No.
Okay. What is?
What is yours? Because you've had time to think of this question. I'm struggling for a second.
Yeah, I spent all week thinking about it, and then I was able to draw the conclusion that I am the Muppet that is Fonzie. Is that a Muppet?
Fozzie Bear.
Fozzie Bear?
Fonzie is a character on Happy Days.
I thought that was the Fonz. Oh, Fonz. Arthur Fonzarelli, right? That's
I think he goes by the
name?
Fonz and
The Fonz.
Fonzie
Oh, okay.
and Arthur Fonz. I didn't know that was his full name, but I think he's a man of
I've
many
heard that somewhere.
nicknames.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
the type
yeah,
of guy
yeah,
who
yeah.
embraces nicknames.
Yeah.
And you could too.
I was kind of talking about the goofy, dorky bear
Fozzie
with
Bear,
the
tie and the hat
and the hat and the
and the tomatoes thrown at him on stage when he does his crummy jokes.
oh.
And sometimes a big cane pops out and pulls him off stage. He gets hooked by a cane.
Yeah, that actually really feels like me. More me than I
Yeah,
initially knew
yeah.
as I made that suggestion.
Doesn't he say that?
Sure, yeah. I'm not that familiar with the Muppets, obviously.
Okay.
I was stalling when I was trying to come up with my answer just to name one that wasn't Kermit or Miss Piggy.
Sure.
So
I could
maybe
name
that little
a
mouse.
dozen Muppets quickly.
I liked that little mouse that was always just kind of there.
You
What's
think
his
of Rizzo
name?
the Rat?
Rizzo the Rat. That's right.
He's a rat, not a
Okay.
mouse.
I mean, close. In the
I
family.
am all of the Muppets
Oh.
and none of them
Oh.
at the same time.
Boy, if that isn't a cop-out answer.
I am both Jim Henson and the guy who played Elmo and had those sexual misconduct charges filed against him. I am both Carol Linney.
I am the mountain. I am the steeple. I am the...
I am Oscar the Grouch when I have just awakened. And I
We're
am
counting Sesame Street
I
in
am
this?
s-
All
yeah.
of the Muppet? I thought it was just like the Muppets brand Muppets. Brand name Muppets.
Okay, but there is overlap. Sometimes there will be some cross play.
Okay, then I'm Big Bird. Fuck that shit.
you're
Why would
Big
I even
Bird?
go with the Muppets? I'm Big Bird.
Did you ever know that Big Bird was scheduled to fly on the Challenger? And
What?
Carol Spinney, I believe his name, Carol Linney or Carol Spinney, is like 6'4", the actor who plays Big Bird. And they could not fit the suit in the space shuttle cabin.
I mean, in terms of conservation of space, Big Bird seems like a bad choice.
They were going to send Big Bird up to like make kids interested in space exploration and give them like an investment
but pick a more compact one. Pick Elmo. Pick Grover.
Sure, but Big Bird was like the heart and soul of the show, and I think it's maybe one of the ones where the actor was actually in the costume rather than behind it, so like you could show the whole bird.
Elmo says, I want to go to space.
Yeah, if you ever notice, Elmo's often like sitting on a wall, or there's some kind of barrier right under Elmo. There's something else blocking the line of sight because they're hiding a puppeteer. Is what's really happening. So anyway, instead they sent Sally Ride up into space.
Who?
The teacher, the school teacher who died in the Challenger explosion.
Oh.
It was tragic. Her second grade class was watching the day that their teacher was going into space, as was most children in the... this came up in the last episode where I was like, you could ask the
You
girl
brought it
where
up
she
twice,
was.
is what you're saying.
I am. Well, it's fine.
No, it's fine. It's great.
I'm making a connection now. Yeah,
It's totally
the
good.
brain works
It's
in
totally
mysterious ways.
good.
Rob works in mysterious ways.
Totally.
Anyway, that teacher died, but Big Bird almost died on the Challenger explosion. And what
a save.
fucking...
What a near
Seriously,
miss.
though. Like, imagine if the most beloved children's icon died live on national television in an explosion going into space.
And it was a
We don't even
bird,
have
so
that
he could have
today.
flown anyway.
Right? Just
Wow,
go
that's
higher.
just
Go
so
a little higher,
ironic.
bird. Just keep flapping.
Just try not to let your feathers burst when you leave the atmosphere.
Pretty
Oh my
sure
God.
Big Bird was flightless, but
Yeah, I know.
Like an
you see that
ostrich.
guy? He's not lifting into air.
penguin,
You know
yeah.
how big the feet are? Just the feet alone.
giant. Yeah.
Giant. He's not like aerodynamically
Yeah.
designed.
Probably went swimming in a couple.
He's pear-shaped.
Yes. Yes, definitely a pear-shaped body. Wow. I mean, that's not really advice, but if that's not interesting to you, then
Fuck you.
you can find another podcast.
Just
quick.
kidding.
I recommend the Joe Rogan podcast, episode
Stop
975.
plugging
Sebastian.
Joe Rogan. We need this. Just kidding. You're just trying to like link us to Joe Rogan in people's minds.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I just was making a callback joke to
I know.
the no free advice episode that we did 2 weeks ago.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Rob,
is
that
a
was
great
beautiful,
episode.
by the way.
Thank you.
I'm really happy with that.
With me recording that and releasing it to the people.
And the way that you did it.
Thank you.
And the special Eunice that it was.
Thank you. I'll let you know I was in bed falling asleep and I was like, oh, fuck, I didn't do that. And it's about to be Wednesday morning. It was like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'll get up. It's going to take 1 minute. I'll just record the thing. And then
Yeah.
I got a little more into it and did the like slow down sound effect of free advice.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Hey guys. Yeah, that was like I'll make it a little
Late night creative moment?
Yeah, exactly.
A little late
I have
night
trouble
cookie?
stopping myself when I can start noticing opportunities for jokes and adornments.
Is that
I
a
just want to
disadvantage?
sprinkle them in. It can be when I when perfect seems better than done.
Yeah. I'm all about perfect being better than done. I mean,
And there are many situations where it's not.
oh yeah, no. My point is like
goodness,
I
yeah.
fall into that pitfall
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, that was
I
nearly
really
a
fuck
trap
myself.
that stopped me from doing it at all that night.
Right.
You know, because
Right.
I've got these other 10 jokes I could cram into this thing, and then I don't do it.
Yeah, you don't
that's a
take step
problem.
one because you make the project so big
Yes. Mm-hmm.
before it even exists that you're like, well, fuck that.
Yes, that's
I do that all the time.
the child in me scorning the adult.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
So, what do you think about diving into the meat of this here
I'd like
episode?
to know if you want any advice,
Okay.
specifically pertaining to Burning Man, since that's where we are right now.
right.
In the future.
Hey, Rob.
us, but in the present
I'm
for
very
you, the
dusty.
listener.
Can you dust off my shoulder right now?
Sure.
All right.
Was
listen.
that advice? Or
Listen. What happened to yes and? That was kind of no fuck you.
I said sure.
It was underwhelming. Yeah, no. So
How about Jacob's yes ands for me in improv last night when we were doing
Wow,
Hexagon? Do you remember
yeah.
my initiations and then him just totally denying them?
yep. Yep.
That was fun. The audience likes that though. I mean, they like watching
Give the
me
people what
struggle.
they want.
It is bad improv, and I feel like
Yeah.
I should communicate that to him of like, hey, your scenes will be more successful. But the problem is they might actually be worse initially because he's getting a laugh from the denial that he may have to give that up in order to get to a more sophisticated play style.
What a gem. of advice you just deposited there.
Thank you. I don't think he's a long-time listener, but maybe we'll convert him.
And not to him, just in general.
Oh, okay. To improvisers? Yeah, sure. If you're getting big laughs out of denying the reality that your partner has established, it can be tough. Like many things, you have to get worse before you get better.
That's kind of, it was less about improv and more about the curve of difficult personal growth.
Yeah.
And learning a new skill.
There's often a dip, and like if you're someone, touch typing is another one. If you're someone who looks at the keyboard, it's going to really slow you down initially to learn to rest your fingers on the home keys and touch type properly. You're going to be like, oh, I'm writing so much slower, but you're going to write so much faster once you learn this technique.
Or,
talking to you, mom and dad.
Speaking of talking to moms and dads, when you adjust your golf swing.
Yeah.
You're terrible for
What's
a while.
wrong with your parents' golf swings?
I don't know, but they're always working on them.
Okay, good. Seems important.
I don't have enough data. My point was, I was going to make that reference earlier, and then you said moms and dads, and I was like, well, this is...
You don't have enough data?
slow
I don't have
tee
enough
up.
dad.
Oh.
Too busy working on his golf swing. Just kidding. I love you, Dad.
Yeah. So did we... Oh, advice for Burning Man.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the theme for Burning Man this year is metamorphosis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
What kind of moth do you want to become? I assume you want to be a moth, right?
yeah, because that's the most appealing of flighted organisms.
Big bird.
But thanks for interrupting me.
You're welcome.
So yeah, you're welcome to the you're welcome. So I have been contemplating a lot. This is my second year going to Burning Man, and so I've been contemplating a lot about my the metamorphosis that has taken place between last year going and this year.
Yeah.
And what are the things that I'm hoping will be the same? What are the things that I'm hoping to draw attention to how much I've changed and learned and grown and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure there will be new things that I can't even anticipate. But what do you feel like would be a good framework for assessing that change?
For looking at how you changed? Mm-hmm. I think looking back at photographs and if you journaled any or have any like memorabilia from last year, look at the milestones of like, what did you feel like when you were packing? What did you feel like when you arrived?
Yeah.
What did you feel like when the man was burning? When you made your first meal, the first night sleeping,
Ugh, there are gonna be so many improvements.
milestones, and then compare that with this year. So some of it is just going to be knowledge that you're like, all right, that used to be a mystery in my head of how do I even sleep at night? How disruptive is the sound going to be? And what's the weather going to be like? Now you have that knowledge. And some of it will be you recognizing changes in the way that you deal with struggle or difficulty. And I think that'll be really interesting to you. So I'd say beforehand, just take like 15 minutes or something to look through old photos or writings, or if you still have like a ticket stub, or you probably don't.
Probably
or
don't.
like, I don't know, a map or a calendar, schedule of events, something like that. And then revisit like, oh yeah, what were the meaningful moments in it? And then try to let go of having the same experience or recreating that this time.
I certainly don't want to do that.
Sure, you don't want to have the exact same thing. There may be like feelings that you still want to experience there that you had last year.
Definitely. Wonder.
And just be mindful of that without being too attached to like if wonder doesn't come up right away.
I'm sure it will.
Maybe
I'll have wonder immediately.
Probably. It's hard to go there and not feel that way.
It's like the
first night when you
predominant
see all the
emotion.
lights. Right.
Oh, remember walking around that first night and taking it in the playa at night? Well, for me, it was the first time.
Not really. I'm trying to remember that night. Yeah. I mean, I remember walking around several nights, but I'm having
That first night
we, like,
exploring
go
when we
to the
rode the
man?
art car and we
Yeah.
walked around the like art exhibits.
Yeah.
was
Yeah, I
fun.
do remember.
Cool.
It was fun.
Sorry, guys, for just like us
No
standing
problem.
here reliving our. I'm not apologizing to you
Okay.
for us just standing here. I mean, sitting, whatever. Doesn't matter what position we're in.
Guys, we're standing up.
But we
this
are
episode.
standing. We normally sit. This is a foray into a whole new
It's
thing.
giving you a little bit more ability to move towards the mic that you're on your feet. So I just want you to be mindful of the distance. And I'm not using the forbidden phrase. I'm just trying to tell you that, like, as you're upright, you have more of a
Yes,
tilt,
yes,
and that
yes.
can mean that
Understood.
you're leaning in at moments that is making you a little loud.
Okay.
Great.
I'm trying to curate a certain dynamism,
Yeah.
and I'm also sort of making an excuse for poor mic technique.
I think it's more
which, you
that. Okay. Well, yeah. Of course, you got to do it more right after I
you-
stop you tell you to stop doing it, just to assert yourself. Great. I'm glad you got that out of your system. Now can we move on?
Yes, Dad. Fine.
Great.
Do you have any advice?
That I want?
Yeah.
No, I'm perfect.
Awesome. Should we
Yeah, let's go to the lightning round.
Go to the fucking lightning round.
One of these days, I'm going to add real lightning sound effects. Up the production value through the roof.
Can't wait.
Premium.
Just like the lightning coming right through your roof.
Sometimes.
All right. This first lightning round question comes to us from Talia Alzia. Talia Alzia. Trying to get my family to switch to almond milk. It's actually really good and good for you. They won't even give it a chance. They won't even try it. It's insane because they are all like, try something new. You only live once. How can I get them to try almond milk?
Take your regular milk jug, pour it into the toilet, flush twice so that there's no residue. Take your almond milk jug, pour it into your regular milk jug, return it to the fridge.
Wow. Clean.
Nobody will know the difference.
Simple.
If you're correct in what you're saying, nobody will know a fucking thing.
Yeah. Wow. So are we done? Or do we want to say anything
advice
else?
for her? I don't know.
I do think that it's frustrating when you are up against family members that are in one context saying, hey, like, try new things, be bold, you only live once, and then really stuck in their ways about other little things where you're trying to push them. And you can often run into that dynamic where if you're the child and then the parents are like, no, it's this way because we're the parents. But also trying to insist that you grow and try new things. So this is a really frustrating example of that. And so I think that part of the approach that you could take, if you're not going to do just the milk to milk switcheroo, which, since there's no consent and you may have, I don't know if someone in your family has a nut allergy, I would just look into that.
I'm not saying you jizz in the almond milk. This isn't that
Excellent.
scenario
I'm so glad.
10 weeks ago where the roommate was jizzing in the food that he was assuming his roommate was eating of his.
No, but I mean...
Oh, you didn't mean a nut allergy like that.
No, like some people get violently ill from consuming nuts such as almonds.
Okay. Gotcha.
I mean, I think she would know if someone in her family had a nut allergy. She wouldn't be pushing the almond milk so hard, unless you're trying to off your brother.
I think if you're telling your kids about your nut allergy in that way, you're sharing a little bit too much information.
Maybe. But anyway, I think sharing your frustrations with the discrepancy between their perspectives could help your case. You could think about a past experience that some of your family members had, one or two of them, where maybe they initially were resistant to something and then over time changed their minds, came to see the benefit of it. Also, this seems like a very small change to make. They can always go back and stop drinking almond milk.
Yeah.
So like, I'm a little confused as to why they're so resistant.
I have a theory that is unlikely but possible.
Okay,
If they're
let's hear it.
listeners of this podcast and they're more Robites than Morganites, if they're more on Team Rob, maybe, and not that our advice is mutually exclusive, but occasionally it's at odds. Maybe they just like my advice, kind of my strategy for making people feel good about their recommendations, which is when someone wants to take me to like a ice cream place that they really like, I'm going to start off by saying, no, this isn't going to be good. This looks gross. Like, really resist it as much as you can. Be as reluctantly going along as possible. And then when you first try it, act like it's just undeniably good. And they were so right. They're like, you know what? I came in here with so much doubt. But fuck, is this good? And they'll just erupt. They'll love it because they won you over. And the more resistance that you give up front, the more they're going to be satisfied that you actually, this thing is so good. They had to do a whole 180 and like eat dirt, or eat turd. What did you say? Put their foot in their mouth? They had to really eat humble pie. That's it. Not turd. Eat humble pie.
I think eat dirt would have worked.
They had to eat dirt and admit that this thing is so good, and now they're on my team. So maybe your family is doing that to make you feel good.
Wow. Long shot. But okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think that we have a few strategies. I mean, maybe they're worried about just getting too progressive. Maybe they're worried about suddenly being vegan or, too smug.
Sure.
Driving Priuses, all these things.
Yeah.
Just assure them that it's
Sniffing their own
just
farts.
almond milk. It's just a little bit of almond milk. Not going to hurt you. It's good for you. I'm a drinker of almond milk. I'm drinking the
you?
Almond-Aid. Yeah.
I'd
love
like to
it.
posit some other advice that milk is for babies and grow up.
Nuts are for men.
No, almond milk is milk. What are you, an almond baby?
Oh.
No, I'm certainly more
But it
similar
didn't come
to
out
a
of anyone's
calf
nipple.
than I am an almond baby. A little almondlet.
Are you a mound?
Is that a candy bar featuring almonds?
Well, Almond Joy, mound. I was just presenting an alternative viewpoint.
No, I'm not a piece of candy.
Okay. You're just eye candy to me.
To much of the world. Arm candy to some, eye candy to many.
I love that.
Ear candy to you, the listener, right now.
We're not getting into ASMR, don't worry.
Aren't we?
Okay. I don't know.
I think
have an
this is
inter-
going
I have
a
an
lot
internal
of different
resistance
directions.
to
I have
it.
some segment ideas that
Oh.
really going to make you say, like what?
Okay. Like what? Sorry, I forgot to be on board there for a second.
You're fine. I'm not going to pitch them now. What's
Okay,
the next lightning
great.
round
I'm
question?
glad we went down that rabbit hole, only to go. No thanks. Okay.
Good
Ba-choo,
rabbit
choo, ba-choo. This one is from.
Pika. It turns out Pikachu was behind the lightning storm the whole time.
He's kind of lightning-y. His tail is lightning zigzag or something. He's got something zigzag going on, right?
I met this girl who didn't know who Pikachu was, and I was fucking pissed. I was like, this is so unreasonable of me right now, but why? How the
Wow. You
fuck
couldn't
don't you
date
know
her?
who Pikachu is?
You couldn't-
No, couldn't even look at her.
Okay, weird. All right, this
Couldn't
question.
come near her.
I guess you were being too Pikachu-y.
Ooh. Or
okay.
too picky. Fuck, just go.
Oh my God, my joke. My joke just landed better than Rob's. Did everyone else hear this? This is an
Too picky
unprecedented.
chew. Both
Too
work.
picky to
It's
choose.
funny that Pikachu has both picky and choosy, like very close to it in
Yeah.
its name, and that's so. Go ahead.
Okay, so Sinard 6. Some random person is talking to me, help. So I met this random guy yesterday who started a conversation with me at Starbucks. And me being don't know how to cut him off. So we talked for an hour and he asked for my Twitter handle. And today he DM'd me, what do I do? Parentheses, I don't want to talk to him. How do I reject him in the nicest way possible?
Yep. Tough situation. Been
Yep,
there.
been there.
Very
Done that.
valuable skill to learn.
Exactly. That's why I picked this
Will-
question.
As you practice this, you will also gain confidence in your ability to reject and seek out new connections with people you're actually interested in. So you're
Yeah.
barking up the right tree, Missy.
Definitely.
People don't often say that you're barking up the right tree, but in this case, you got the right tree. to
Always on
bark
the
up.
wrong tree.
Yeah, people with that expression tend
Yeah.
to focus on the wrong trees.
Yeah, it's like seeing the forest half empty. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so
You're barking up the right tree. How do you do it, Morgan?
how does one do it?
You have
Okay,
more experience
of course,
turning men down than I do.
an option is
Yeah.
do nothing. Block him, just leave it alone, just
Sure.
nip in the bud.
There could
I
be
get that you don't want to
other-
do that.
There could be some Googling and then an email, and there could be a Facebook friend request. There could be an Instagram DM that follow. I think it's better for his sake and for your sake to practice expressing this.
Yes,
If
I'm
you
just
feel safe.
saying. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's not a requirement
don't
that you have to respond.
That's true. That's true.
However,
this could be happening hundreds of times a day to you from various parties. and
Yes,
that
it
would be
does.
all right,
It
too.
does.
Yes.
And you can't respond to
not
everyone.
necessarily to everybody getting hundreds of messages.
No,
a
but
day,
I mean, like, I meant like just all around the world. Like, this
yeah.
is happening
But
globally, everywhere. It's
to
an epidemic.
individuals who have a certain amount of fame or popularity
Yes,
within
yes.
a group, that does
Yes,
happen in
yes.
an overwhelming number. Or if you're on a dating site or something
And you
like that.
cannot spend
Yeah.
fucking hours of your time
No.
politely rejecting
No,
all these people.
and doing all that mental gymnastics
Oh
of
my
how do you
God. Mm-hmm.
care about their feelings. You're responsible for your own feelings. He's responsible for his own feelings of hurt.
Yeah.
It is good that you care about being kind. Also, care more about establishing your boundary and not wasting your time.
Yeah.
He can do better than somebody who is just humoring him. You know. He,
Yeah. You don't have to
even
enable
from
that
his point of
behavior.
view. If you are like thinking from his perspective, he doesn't probably want to be with somebody who's listening to him out of charity. There are people who would be genuinely interested in him, and he's wasting his time by being with somebody who's just being polite.
I think that sometimes in these scenarios, these people are lonely and maybe don't have someone better to talk to. However, that's
That
a
person's
really
out there.
helpful framework for you to think about the rejection through.
Yeah.
And that's even potentially a way to word it of say, you know what, actually, I really appreciate you reaching out to me, but I'm actually not interested.
You don't need
Thank
to explain why you're not interested. That's often a big thing of like, he may ask why. What did I do something? How can I do better? You don't have to tell him
Yeah,
that.
you can just say, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's fine.
Thank you. I enjoyed our conversation, but I'm not
She
interested.
didn't enjoy their conversation. I would recommend not saying that if it's not true.
Yeah, sure.
If you enjoyed something about it, you could focus on that if it helps
way
you.
Possible.
Yeah, don't worry about being nice right now. Is my advice. Like,
Yeah.
like don't be.
right.
You don't need to add. You don't need to give him a list of all the things you dislike
dickery.
about. Yeah, like don't spend effort to hurt this person. It's good that you care about how your actions affect other people. And I think that it's because of that, it's nicer to give a response, which is, I'm not interested. Sorry.
Yep.
So even without the sorry is fine. You don't need to apologize
Yeah.
for not being interested.
Definitely.
But
I
that
mean, the
might
only
help you.
thing, the only thing that in theory, I'm not recommending that you do this, but in theory that you could apologize for is, I'm sorry I didn't communicate this to you earlier, but I'm not interested.
Or you could say, I wish I had.
Yeah. There's nothing that this person needs to do or change to be more appealing to you. You don't want that. Move along, little doggy. As long as your energy is firm in the no and not inviting more response or at all confusing or conflicted, it's, just cut it off. You can say, I appreciated our conversation. I appreciated that you were interested in pursuing me. You can say something thanking them for the investment they've made. That way they maybe can feel a little bit, their pride won't be so potentially wounded of like, well, fine, I didn't want to. It's like, I appreciated the energy exchange that we had, and I don't wish to continue.
I'd recommend,
I wouldn't use those words.
If you're going to be pushing yourself anyway, try just being completely honest and not having to manufacture it, and then see, maybe you do feel like a little bit of a dick afterwards and you want to next time sugarcoat things a little bit more, but give yourself permission to cross the line once this time, and don't be over mean, but like if you didn't appreciate the conversation at all, you don't need to pepper sugarcoat it with, I really enjoyed our conversation, but I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Just say I'm not interested and see how that feels. And his reaction is not your responsibility.
I think even more important than how you treat this particular situation.
Next time at Starbucks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Recognizing that you gave a way higher investment to this person than you wanted to, an hour of your time and your contact information.
Yep.
I know that often we're sitting there and we're going, it's just easier to, what?
She probably got a follow out of that.
It's easier to just let it happen to you and just kind of wait it out and then give them the phone number so they feel like they got something. And then you're like, okay, I can deal with this later and, deal with it not in person. But the problem with that is then it undervalues your time to yourself. Yep. It encourages you to keep going down a path. Yeah. Save your time and energy for the people that you want to give it to, the people that you appreciate, that bring you value. And, remember this experience of, remember how uncomfortable it was and how much time I wasted just stewing, sitting there, absorbing all of this person's energy that I just really didn't want to. It didn't serve me at all. Let's nip that in the bud next time. Yeah. Without being too, disappointed in yourself. But trust me, I set this intention all the time to set boundaries sooner and sooner and sooner. And it's always hard. I find myself sitting there and just like have this like thought in my mind that I'm just like trying not to poop out. That's like, oh my God, I'm hating this. I'm hating this. I'm hating this. I'm hating this. What do I do? Oh my God, this is my pattern. I'm just repeating this thing where I let them talk to me. And
So what's something that you can say at Starbucks when you've talked to somebody for 10 minutes and you're like, oh, I didn't want to talk to them for 30 seconds. What do you say at that point?
I have often picked up my phone, looked down at it and go, oh shoot, I have to go. Yep. Nice talking to you. And then just leave. Don't even let them really say a goodbye.
Don't need to give them an explanation. You don't need to say what you're going to.
Some
They're not entitled to
people
that.
will just keep talking your ear off and will not listen to the signals. It doesn't matter what you're saying.
Don't expect
just extract
nonverbals
yourself.
to do this for you.
And don't expect there to be a neat and tidy
They don't
conclusion.
need to accept you're leaving.
No.
You don't need to get their permission.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I love this.
I think so too. And to help you do that, if it bothered you that you spent that much time talking to them at Starbucks, think about what you wished you were doing instead and write that down of what do I value more than talking to the stranger that I don't want to talk to.
Yeah.
And recognize, you can start making a list of values that way. The way to take control of your time and stop being reactive to other people's requests is acknowledge and value that you value other things more. So that email that someone's asking you to respond to that's going to take an hour, you don't need to respond to that. If you have something in mind that, actually, I care more about finishing this book, or I care more about writing my journal, or exercising, or calling my mom, or playing this game with this friend I want to catch up with, anything like that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
determine your own values, and then you start to take control of your own time.
I often do this when I am reflecting on a way that I spent money that I felt was too much. I'll be like, okay, so I spent $80 more than I wanted to spend on, X, Y, or Z. Okay, so sometimes it makes
can
me
you
feel
give us-
better to
yeah.
think about in the future, what can I think twice about before spending money on?
Yeah.
And almost mentally kind of reclaim that money for myself.
I kind of wanted
that.
you to do it right now. What's something
Yeah.
that's easy to spend too much money on for you?
Oh my God, everything.
Really? There's some things
yeah.
more than others, though, right?
Of course.
What's something that is-
sometimes clothes. I'll
Clothes.
say clothes. Yeah.
What's the...
What do I
we
ask
don't-
myself
yeah,
when I shop?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what makes it easy with clothes like that? What does it mean to you to spend more money on clothes?
Yeah. So when I'm out like spending money on clothes, I often get super into buying into this idea of the person that I'm going to be once I start wearing these clothes. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, it's this way of escaping who I am now and not being comfortable with accepting just like however I'm showing up now in the world. And I buy into this fantasy. And so it's taking that pause to go, do I really need this? If I put it back and walked out of this store, would I remember this item? Would I feel sad that I didn't purchase it? Why do I feel this enhanced sense of urgency that if I don't get this shirt right now, I'm not going to be the person I want to be. And then therefore I'm going to be a failure. And then and then I go, okay. This isn't about this shirt. This is about me trying to fill some other void and escaping into it. And so what does allowing yourself to give all of that time away to that other person potentially allow you to avoid or deny? There's another way of thinking about that. What is that telling you?
I just want to remind everyone that for the last century, we've been living in a world that is purposely poking those holes and putting those voids in you to sell you shirts and a million other products.
Yes.
Since the time of Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew, modernizing the advertising industry into what we know today.
Did you recently read about this? This seems real fresh on the mind.
It has come up recently, yes,
Okay.
but I learned about it a couple of years ago
okay.
when I was working at ADHD. They did a cartoon about it that I really liked. Since the 1920s and this change in advertising, the whole society is, the culture is
pointing out flaws and making them people
constantly
feel
poking at
disgusting
your
about
ego
it.
and reminding you of why you suck in little subtle ways and agitating your pain points.
Yes.
And offering as a solution, spending a little bit money on a thing that will make you feel different. And that you're treating symptoms, not the disease, by buying a shirt.
Yeah. Wow.
And
You really
sometimes
went
it's good
somewhere
to
else
treat
there.
symptoms for a moment, but if you're habitually treating symptoms and never the disease, that's where all your money goes, and that's where all your attention goes, and that's you will suffer that until you address the underlying problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that an underlying unconscious potential problem, I don't want to put too negative a label on it, that this new listener is having is
they're definitely
she doesn't value her time enough.
Yeah. And that's common.
Yes. Oh my God. I don't value my time enough. Fuck that.
We're taught not to. I mean, that's what school is. You're going to be in school for these hours. What you want doesn't really matter. You're going to get this many hours of homework a night, whether you're learning from it or not. Like the teacher is trying to assign you 2 hours a night. People aren't taught to value their time. So it's a very forgivable mistake and one that I hope that you can recover from.
Fuck yeah. Next lightning round
Fired
question.
up. Give it to me.
Yeah. Okay. This one comes to us from Juchiha, 1998. That's can't possibly be right pronunciation. I'm thinking about writing a fantasy novel, but don't know where to start. I've wanted to write a book for a while now. I have a ton of ideas, but I've never really known where to start. Any help is greatly appreciated.
Start by writing a short story, if you haven't done that, and then expand it. I haven't written a novel either, but I think that the bigger the project is initially, the more resistance you'll have to starting, and it's better to start and do something small and then grow it instead of aim for something big initially and then never do it.
You ready for me to drop a bomb?
Please.
I have written a novel. I've never done anything with it, but it exists. And
What
I
genre?
agree. Sci-fi-ish. So it's one of those things that I started out with. I mean, I totally agree, like making it into bite-sized pieces, because the idea of just like, I'm going to write a novel makes you think you're going to sit down at a computer over the course of one day and just bang it the fuck out and be like, and then boom. But no. It makes it a total mountain of a project. And starting to write just, partially requires that you sit down and start writing something. Silencing your critic temporarily while you're developing ideas, while you're trying to find your creative voice, while you're thinking about what is it that my world could include and who are the characters and the creatures and the setting. Just sit your critic down somewhere else outside of the room and say, hey, look, we've had some great years together. I need you to just leave me alone for a little bit while I start generating some ideas. We can edit it later, but let's get some stuff down on paper. And then sort of tackling it from one angle to start. Like, what piece of the fantasy novel is the most interesting to you? Is it the genre? Is it a certain character you want to explore? Is it a certain world that you're developing? Is it one certain rule for how your world operates that like fascinates you?
Your novum.
Your
is
novum.
what that's called in sci-fi. The thing that makes that world different from ours.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like hers novum is, what if our artificial intelligence assistants could fall in love with us?
Yeah. My novum was, what if we all drew from the same shared pool of life force? I mean, spoiler alert, like we kind of do. Anyway, so
let me just one quick diversion on sci-fi.
Sure.
Estranges the familiar to allow us to see it clearly. Like much good fiction, but as science fiction in particular makes something familiar strange, so that we can evaluate it without our preconceived notions. And then at the end or somewhere along the way, we're supposed to think, oh wait, that's like my life, and I never approached gender roles that way, but I could see the difference in how that fucked up that is between these two aliens.
Yeah.
But I thought just men and women were supposed to be like that.
So choose one piece or one element of the story that you want to tell and get really into it, develop it. Because one thing that I think, again, holds people back is getting started, of course. But then also reading other novels that are like, especially in the fantasy genre, so complex, so well developed, and going, oh my God, how in the fuck am I going to write something like that when all I have is the seed of an idea?
Yes.
Well, start watering the seed.
Yes.
Start developing it. Make it something that you invest in and that you care about. See the ways that it can expand in complexity. And then build in other pieces around that.
Yeah.
Once you have something that has some momentum that you get excited about.
You can only see the bark of that tree, of that finished book that you're looking at. And there are many, many rings of drafts and sketches on the inside of that finished novel that you're comparing your sapling to.
Yeah.
That's not a fair comparison.
Not fair.
You're missing the gap, as what's his face, Ira Glass calls it, of when you admire some type of art greatly and you compare your attempts with those of someone that you admire, you don't realize that they sucked worse than you at some point, and they were willing to keep going on faith that it would get better.
Yeah.
And it's a great error to be product focused as you're starting a new artistic pursuit. You have to be process focused and compare yourself to who you were yesterday instead of who someone else is today.
Yeah. Fantastic. Do you want to do one more lightning round question, or do you want to just get right into the meat?
I'm ready for meat if you are.
I think
Is
I'm
it
ready
a good
too.
lightning round question? It's kind of a shitty one, huh?
No, this is I like this one.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, we'll do it. I think we'll knock it out real quick.
All right.
This one comes to us from LeoxGod. How do I ask my best friend when is her period? I, male 15, want to ask my best friend, female 15, when is her period, just so I don't get on her nerves that much in her tense periods. She says that I never make her feel uncomfortable, and she never got mad at me, and I want to keep it that way. Is it okay, even okay, if I ask?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so sorry for laughing at this
Why is this
question.
so funny?
It's just so cute.
Is it
it's
okay to
so
ask?
sweet
Yeah,
that you're even thinking
it is
about
sweet.
this and you're trying to be sensitive to her like feminine needs. And it's adorable. And I think so many men, boys, men of all ages see this as this like, ooh, big scary thing, and it's unfamiliar and I don't even know how to do it, and react to it with fear or disgust or whatever. And you're just trying to come up with a great way to take care of her and to help meet her needs during a time when it potentially is a little harder. She might be a little more sensitive. Don't presuppose any of her symptoms, though. That would be one piece of advice I have for you.
Oh, yeah,
Don't
women-
say, because you're going to be pissy, how can I not piss you off? But you can say, hey, like, I really want to kind of help you understand the rhythms that you're going through. So let me know when you're on your period, and if you have anything extra that you need, any extra kind of support, I'd love to provide it. I'm just curious. I don't know. That could be weird.
I can imagine a woman not liking that language choice of "let me help you understand the rhythms that you're going through." That could just feel like some kind of mansplaining. Like, I'll understand your rhythms. Let me tell you what's happening in your body.
Right. The cycles, the moon,
Yeah.
menstruation. Yeah, sure. I agree.
But to get to the heart of your question, you don't have to ask. You can always smell when a woman's on her period. Just get close, tie your shoe while you're sitting next to each other in the movies and just go for a whiff and you'll be able to tell. Iron like.
Please do not do
smell
that.
of blood. What are you, not part shark? You don't got any ampullae of Lorenzini? What, you can't detect electrical impulses? Come on. Just sniff for the iron in the air. Bears can do it from miles away. You can't?
One piece of advice I do have is to ask her in general what kind of treatment makes her feel more comfortable. If there's anything that's irritating to her, just generalized, not like it's happening specifically during her period. But just if you're interested in better ways to take care of her and ways to meet her needs, that can happen at any time of the month. Doesn't have to be the time of the month.
I think that's great advice. And another way to get her to open up about her period to you is to just start talking about your nocturnal emissions. Maybe like having that kind of personal disclosure with her.
Yeah.
Could invite her to get vulnerable too. Like you could be like, hey, my body's releasing this liquid in a way that I'm not in control
Hey,
of.
I'm changing.
Yeah,
Help.
you don't have to be a puny little wad about it, like Morgan just insinuated. But
Try not to be a wad in general.
try not to be a wad. But if you maybe open up about what your nocturnal emissions are like and how it's ruining your clothes, she might bite and say, you know what? It's not the exact same thing. It's not the exact same color. Doesn't smell the same. Still has its own odor, but something is happening in me too that is somewhat analogous.
Yeah. Confusing, potentially embarrassing.
At approximately the same
all
rate.
good.
It's every couple weeks that you haven't touched yourself, you have a nocturnal emission. Every couple of weeks, whether I touch myself or not, I'm visited by my aunt, Flo.
Yeah. I think that she will appreciate your attempt to be a good friend.
Yeah.
If it can be not centered around her period, great.
Yeah.
But you don't have to feel so embarrassed about it. In general, I think women want to feel like they're not different when they're on and off their period. They're people all the time, and you don't have to like skirt around it in a weird way. I mean, maybe I'm generalizing. I don't know. Maybe some women are like super bashful about it.
But if you are going to skirt around
normalize
it, maybe
it.
a dark skirt,
Yeah, maybe crimson.
not a white skirt.
Yeah. I definitely wear black and crimson underwear when
yeah.
I am having my period.
Yeah, buy her some of those period panties that are made to be perioded all over.
Don't buy her any period paraphernalia. Leave that to her.
Get her a Diva cup.
I do love my Diva cup. But I still use tampons.
Hell yeah, girl.
Okay, so.
Oh, the storm has passed.
Well, should we dive right into the main event?
The skies are clear, the sun is shining. Children rejoice in the streets.
So is that a yes or?
Yeah. Let's get to the question.
So this question comes to us from Slap My Bulge. Girl I'm FWB with, friends with benefits.
Yeah.
That's going to come up a few more times. Wanting to date, and she wants to date me, dropped a bomb on me. So pretty much this girl I've been talking to for like maybe a month one day decided to be friends with benefits, FWB, with me. She told me that she wants to have an only each other FWB, meaning that only me and her are each other's FWB. I said okay, and we set off from there. We wanted to date each other, but today she dropped a bomb on me. She told me that she wants a polyamorous relationship, parentheses, open relationship, and that people call her weird for wanting that. I told her that I'm supportive towards her, but I don't think I could do that. What should I do?
I feel your pain, man. That's a tough situation to be in. It sounded like there was some concern from the start or mixed feelings about how much exclusivity they wanted when they asked you to be friends with benefits, but only each other's friends with benefits. I'm not sure how that differs from boyfriend, girlfriend, but I recognize that everybody has different interpretations of these labels, and that could have been threatening or felt like a scary level of commitment to make to each other to say, like, do you want to date or be boyfriend, girlfriend, or something else that would imply exclusivity of who you're getting your benefits from.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you guys were friends first, and it's scary to
Add
have that
benefits.
threatened. No, like here you've had benefits, and now it's like, ooh, do I give up my benefits, and does the friendship go with them? Is this a package deal all of a sudden? Or in order to maintain the friendship, do I have to allow them benefits with other people? And what if that hurts me and I don't want to deal with that pain? I think you have every right to ask to not be in that situation. And they have a right to say, no, I want to get other benefits from other friends.
A pattern I kind of noticed in the wording of this question, which may or may not be totally true, but it kind of sounds like Slap My Bulge is acting kind of reflexively based on what the girl is wanting.
Yeah.
And well, right? Yeah.
Bulge.
This has to be. Yeah, it
It's
has
not
to be.
a
Okay.
big clit,
Yeah,
it's a dick.
yeah. He said girl multiple times. So this girl seems to be kind of saying, okay, I want this, and now I want this, and you're just kind of going, okay, I think I can do that. And then now when she's saying she wants to expand it out, you're going, ooh, well, I don't really know if I want that. And so first of all, I just want to say, like, good on you for checking in with yourself and being like, maybe this isn't something I want. And I think that a great place to start this conversation is actually with yourself.
Yeah.
And figuring out, what do you want out of this relationship? What are you comfortable with? What's your ideal? And then kind of merging that with the reality of, okay, what does she want? Where do those things align? Where is there misalignment? And then figuring out a more detailed structure from there.
Yes. And I want to say that it's okay to not have the answers to those questions. It is often something people expect. Like, if someone asked me what I want from a relationship and I didn't know, and that's a source of shame for them, you might not know what you want until you are handed what you don't want. And it's okay to change your mind and revise what you want over time.
Right.
And you may find yourself doing that right now a bit with pieces of this. Like, do you actually want to be friends with this person? Do you want to have a sexual relationship with them? Do you want to have a sexual relationship with them if they want or are acting on sexual feelings for other people? And it's okay for the answer to be no to any of those things. It's also okay for the answer to be yes. There may be a lot of pressure from other sources in your life to say, like, that polyamory is bad, or an open relationship is shameful, or like
Or weird.
mark
I mean,
of-
she's getting that. She's getting feedback that it's weird.
Sure. A lot of the dominant mainstream culture will say that. For any listeners who don't know, should we define polyamory?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think you should.
I should? Okay.
Yeah. You have a more succinct definition than I do.
Thanks. Means multiple loves. Like, it's a belief that a person can feel sexual desire for more than one person at a time. And usually that goes with the belief that one does not. Usually goes with a maple leaf. It's great with
And
tea
we have a
leaves.
nice pairing of an oak leaf and a polyamorous relationship.
I was almost succinct. We almost had like a sound bite that we could have put on the website.
You can start over. We could do it again.
No, it's not. It often comes with the belief that having attraction for love for one person does not diminish the attraction or love felt for another.
Right. It denies the theory that love is a scarcity.
Yeah, and a zero-sum game.
Yes.
Which is the dominant operating ideal of love since the 1800s, I believe, is about when we got this idea of love.
I believe.
The romantic notion of love
Right.
used to be something that was ridiculed in popular culture, and like Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet as a satire of look at how fucking dumb this type of love is. And now we hold this up as like, it's beautiful. What is she, 12? Like a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old commit suicide after knowing each other for 3 days. And we're like, that's true love. That was not written as an ideal of what the beauty of love is. That's like, here's how dumb people can be by thinking that another person completes them and is their whole world. Yeah, like... the rant over on that, but
no, I love it.
The idea of modern love, many people take for granted as a universal that's been with us forever, and it's a pretty recent thing.
Yeah, and there is evolutionary and biological evidence that we did not evolve that way, and that causes a lot of strife for people in relationships, sexual and emotional exclusivity, relying on one person only to meet all of your very diverse needs and trying to force them into that box.
Yes.
And it also, buys into, I don't know, let me start that sentence over. The other thing it denies is the fact that we're all polyamorous in terms of friendship. We wouldn't just have one best friend. Oh, some people do it this way. Have one best friend that, is to the exclusion of all other sources of friendship.
I'd love to talk about that with you some other time. Let's just dog ear that for another episode. But that pattern that I observe, particularly in women, I think, I have a lot to say on.
Okay, great.
But go on. Yes. Okay. So we wouldn't be monoamorous about friends.
Right.
And any friend that would ask you not to have other friends, it's one that you might be skeptical of.
Yeah.
There are valid other reasons for a person to want monoamory in a sexual or romantic sense.
Of course.
And it's totally a valid option. I just think most people never ask themselves what they really want or consider that they could have something that strays from the monogamous relationship escalator.
Yeah, so congratulations that you guys are even exploring this and introducing that into the friendship.
Asking yourself this question is healthy and will strengthen your belief in whatever choice you do make.
And it also requires you to have more intimate conversations and to get more open and honest with each other and to open doors that you wouldn't have necessarily opened within the friendship, inviting this other part of relating to each other in. I mean, Rob and I definitely experienced an immense increase in our intimacy as a result of having dated in the past, trying that out. And I think that I want to also instill hope, Slappy, that if you try something and it doesn't work and there's distance for a while, there's weirdness for a while, there's an inequity of feelings, that can still mean a good relationship long term. It can still mean that you continue to tinker with it and readjust and you don't lose access completely to this person. You may not have the kind of relationship or interactions that you want from them all the time. There may be some phases that you have to go through, but time does heal a lot. And if your connection with this person is strong and has survived probably some of the challenges of navigating the friends with benefits relationship, I think that I want to inspire you that both the open relationship is possible if you want it potentially, and both scaling back and saying, you know what, this actually isn't aligned with my needs right now, that hopefully that won't be something that, she's not gonna go, oh, fine, then fuck you. I don't want to have any relationship with you ever and stick to it.
There was a friendship there, and maybe that friendship was just built on a timid, unexpressed sexual desire from the beginning, but more likely there were some things that you liked about each other that were beyond how your bodies felt close to each other, that were about, shared interests or a way of communicating or laughing together or something like that, some shared perspective or a compliment that you gave to each other. And that is something that you can still find again, even if your sexual relationship ends. I think the most important thing in making that process go smoothly is to own your own feelings and communicate them to each other. It hurt when Morgan told me that she didn't want to have a sexual relationship with me anymore. And I told her, and I didn't think that I should feel that way. I thought that I should be tough about it and cool. And I told her that too. I was like, I don't like that I'm hurt by this, and I think that I want to be like, oh, it's no big deal. And my temptation was to tell her, oh, it's no big deal, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was feeling disappointed and hurt, and it was important that I told her that, so that I didn't then, I think if I had tried to just suck it up and act cool about it, I would have acted passive aggressively. I would have avoided her because of feelings that I was not admitting to myself or her, and then a discomfort that came whenever she was around. I had to be honest with her and with myself and other people who knew about a relationship and that I maybe felt embarrassed in front of, that like, oh, they know that I got rejected by this girl that I'm friends with, and that we started hooking up, and like I was getting hopeful. So it was important for me to express all that. And maybe you're not at that point where you feel comfortable doing that yet. Maybe you haven't grown quite as much as I have.
Wow, self-righteous much?
I couldn't say it seriously. I didn't know how to do that without making it overly smug as a joke.
I mean,
but there
I
is
don't know.
some
You could have
element
not
of
said
truth
it.
to that. But don't you agree that it took me a lot of fucking growth to get to that point? Like
Yes,
I didn't
of course,
when I was 16 or whatever, I
course.
wouldn't have been able to do that.
No.
I wouldn't have like recognized the emotion in me, found it valuable enough to communicate to another person.
Yeah.
And like owned it as my problem and not something that they had to deal with for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that as the person who is delivering that information, you anticipate that it's going to be disappointing and hurtful and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's the least, I felt like so honored. I mean, of course, uncomfortable, but honored that he felt comfortable enough with me to share that he was having a difficult emotional experience with it. And then we got to hold it together and practice opening that door to a different type of intimacy of like, here we are, this is the reality. And I didn't feel, I had to do my part to not feel like, oh, I need to change how I feel or change how what I'm doing in order to take that feeling away from him. But it gave us an opportunity to work together on a project of nurturing one another in our relationship as it's now defined without the sexual component. And so the other thing that I think is really wonderful that I want to already congratulate you on is that you said, I told her I'm supportive towards her, but I don't think I could do that. And so the fact that you are trying to still support her lifestyle choice and accepting that that's where she's at and trying not to take it out on her or, you know, make it more excessively uncomfortable, but you're recognizing she has that need. You're recognizing your need is different. And so what do? Okay. Figure out what your need is.
Yeah.
It's not that. So what is it? What do you want in a partner? What do you want in a relationship? What do you want sexually?
And answering those questions is building a self. And the more of a self that you have, the more there is to give to another person. And when you say, I love you, there has to be an I that is established as something independent from the you for that love to have meaning. If you think that if I is the same as you, then where's the love traveling? It's just your feelings and your desires are not bound to hers.
Unique and distinct. I meant in that scenario.
Yes, they wouldn't be. Like, it's going to hurt to answer these questions, to even face the stuff. You're probably going to want to escape it with video games or jerking off or, you know, crying. Crying is good. That's not a problem.
Or some other person to have sex with or whatever.
Finding somebody else to immediately like have a crush on and not deal with the pain of this loss or this complicated, whatever comes up. But like, you're growing for confronting this stuff and answering these questions for yourself. So like, give it time and give yourself space to do this important work.
And it's okay to do some of those distracting, escaping things.
Yes. They don't have to be, you can do that thing and then come back to it. And it may be better to like space it out that way.
Yeah.
But if you only smoke weed instead of answering these questions and you find yourself doing that every day, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Then you don't grow, you're not defining yourself, and you find yourself in this situation again 10 years from now, and you missed the opportunity to grow from interfacing with your feelings and like expressing them to another person.
And well, really, you're just going to keep getting that same lesson over and over again until you learn it.
Yes.
So, you know, you might as well learn it as you feel comfortable with it.
Yes.
But those feelings can be really intolerable, especially when this is a person who maybe you used to share those feelings with and help the burden. So I would also use this as an opportunity to reconnect with other friends that you don't have any
Yes.
sexual interest in that can help you sort through these complicated things.
You don't need to express all your feelings about the situation to the individual that's causing or that they're targeted at.
And you definitely shouldn't if you can help it.
Well, many of them may be good. You maybe push yourself to. I can't say you definitely shouldn't.
Yes.
But it's definitely useful to have other, like a journal, a friend, a therapist, a family member who you can talk to about these things that won't be personally as affected by the emotions because they're not aimed at them. And that's a way to process and work things out before you have a conversation with her.
I just know for me, it's so much more likely that I will be minimizing or dismissive of my needs, or sometimes not even collect the data on like what's going on in my body or my mind when I'm with the person who it's about. So I actually would say, definitely try
Talk it out
to
with someone else
talk
first.
it out with someone
Yeah,
else.
or
Not
write it
necessarily
down.
first, but just
I
as
think
it
first,
evolves.
well, but if you do it first, then you have like a non-threatening container to even recognize that you have these thoughts and feelings, and then you're equipped with that when you go into the
So
conversation.
you agree
with the
my
person.
advice is better? I'm just fucking kidding.
Sure.
I'm just
gonna
kidding.
Talk
I
to
don't
my
need
mom
that.
about this conversation and you a lot tonight before I get back to you on how I feel about you.
Excellent. I can't wait for your
JK.
unbiased results. Yeah. Polyamory, open relationship stuff, friends with benefits, any relationship, even within the dynamics of like the normal quote unquote framework, are hard and messy. And there's no necessarily like right or wrong answers.
Yes.
It's about, okay, what's my relationship with myself? What's my relationship with this person? And getting as clear as you can about how you see those things panning out and what you want out of them. And taking the easiest steps you can towards procuring that. It's biting off a lot, but
It is.
if you bite off a little less, maybe you can chew it.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you chew, more teeth come in. Just like in the human body. The more you've chewed, that's why your wisdom teeth come in. For most people in their early 20s, it's the amount of chews you've taken that determine when your wisdom teeth come in.
Yeah, it's a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, it's a chew your own adventure.
It's a Pikachu.
It's a picky chew.
It's a big league chew.
It's a piglet from Winnie the Pooh.
It's a choo-choo train.
It's a drops of Jupiter.
Yeah. Honestly, like I feel so connected to this situation, you know, because we've been through some tough stuff, some foibles, some mishaps, some shenanigans, some snafus in the dating game, the open alternative lifestyle dating game. And I just want to say, you know, welcome to the tribe.
Yeah.
This isn't the easier path, but we think it's the better
I don't know
path.
if
We
this
like
person is
it.
joining the tribe.
But they already did friends with benefit. They're
Okay,
already
yeah,
like,
yeah.
my point is like, they're already, you know,
They're doing something.
They're doing something. They're exploring something alternative. So give yourself the adequate, like, congratulations of like, even managing this friends with benefits thing is hard. And it's totally up to you if you take steps towards it or take steps away from it. So good luck.
Good luck.
Let us know any updates. Let us know how it goes, what you decide, how she handled it, what did you end up doing.
It takes courage
Love
to
to hear
face your
it.
feelings and be honest with yourself about how you really feel and then be honest with another person. It takes a lot of courage.
Show does.
I'm proud of you for asking the question.
Yeah. And to all those people out there listening that may have a burning question,
Yeah.
they can direct that to freeadvice@gmail.com. No, free advice podcast. Don't everybody put down your pens and pencils. I made a grave error. freeadvicepodcast@gmail.com. Even if you have a question that's like only tingling and not really burning yet, you might want to send it to us before it starts burning, just preemptively.
Yeah.
Give us a chance to decrease that tingle before it starts to mingle.
Yes. No question is too dumb.
That's it.
I do
Or
think
too
this-
gross.
No, they're definitely not too gross.
No.
Gross questions, I prefer.
love it.
I wish that we could, you know what we haven't talked about
What?
today? A certain favorite part of the body,
I do.
the butthole.
Yes. What do you want to say about our friend, the butthole, today?
Just the lines that radiate out of it.
It's
like
a mandala.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a mandala. People are always talking about their third eye. What if that third eye was brown?
Yeah. The poop chakra.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too. How do you think this episode went?
It was high energy.
I think so.
I liked it. It was a zinger.
You want to rate it? You want to score it?
Do I want
Do
to
you
score it?
adore
Scale
it?
1 to 10. Let's see. I would probably give it a 7.5.
11.
I'm a pretty critical judge.
You think this was worse than the previous episode?
No, I didn't give the previous episode an 8 out of 10.
I give it an 8.5.
I know you did.
What'd you give it?
A 4.
It says more about how you feel about yourself than the episode.
It totally does. Yeah, no, it totally does. Because when I feel like I'm coming in low energy or I'm not I'm pausing a bunch, I'm stalling, I'm not saying something meaningful enough, or I'm not loose enough so I can't be funny. I'm like, I'm so in my head about those things, and I'm still struggling with finding the right voice and feeling comfortable like diving into this persona, this podcaster persona. There's still a lot of growing pains into this role for me. Yeah.
Doing good work.
Thank you.
I see you getting better.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't.
Let's go back and listen to like fucking episode 7 and episode 21. There's gonna be a big difference.
Really? I don't even know if I would perceive it.
Oh, well, let's try someday.
Okay. Sure. Sure.
Brendan's opinion of the Sound of Musical shows are always his opinion of his own performance. He's
Yeah.
like that was
Oh,
a
yeah,
fat show,
for
or that was a
sure.
good show.
For
Like,
sure.
Are you sure you're not just feeling about how you did during it?
Oh,
Are
I'm
you-
definitely doing
And
that.
I'm sure I do that too, but I only noticed it about Brendan. Love you, man. Thanks for listening. Shout outs to B. McKay.
Yeah, well, we would love to have him on as a guest. We talked about this a little bit
Get him
last
on
night.
here. Which
right
one?
after we
Fun
have
Brendan, bad Brendan, or good Brendan?
Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, we got to have him on
Get
after
all
the
three.
confabulator.
Yeah, he has some fun characters. Ooh, I hope he brings some characters to our podcast.
Yeah, we'll remember.
We could straight man him.
We'll tell him that he should bring his character sack.
Yeah.
Ding
That's
dong.
Josh.
Oh,
Good night,
you know what that
everybody.
means, guys. We gotta go.
Yeah.
Have a good night. We love you. Tuck yourself in nice and sweet like you know we would. Whisper in your own ears. And sweet dreams.